watches a white British Shorthair begin the morning before anyone else in the room even stirs. Long before breakfast, her plush white body is already awake, listening to tiny changes in the apartment's silence. Cats are crepuscular, so dawn naturally sharpens their senses, just as human sleep grows deepest and slower. That means your calm white companion is not restless without reason. Her body clock is simply arriving on time. In the half-light, her round copper eyes study the room the way a careful guard studies borders. Her morning does not start with noise. It starts with checking whether everything familiar still feels safe. What looks like a cute routine is really a chain of small decisions shaped by instinct, memory, and trust. And those decisions often gather into 3 habits that repeat with almost clock-like patience every morning. The first habit begins beside the bed, where she pauses before asking for anything at all. She watches your breathing, your scent, and the smallest movement under the blanket before making contact. To people, that stare can feel mysterious, almost theatrical, especially coming from such an elegant, silent cat. But for a cat, sleeping humans become temporarily unavailable. So morning starts with careful rechecking of connection. She is confirming that her person is present, responsive, and still part of the safe world she knows. That is why many cats sit near the pillow instead of immediately running to the kitchen. Proximity comes first. Tush, because social security matters before practical requests become fully urgent in the cat's waking mind. Her whiskers lean forward as she measures the moment between your last deep breath and lighter sleep. Then she shifts her weight with those slow, deliberate British Shorthair steps across the blanket edge. She may tap the mattress once, not to annoy you, but to test whether the sleeping body responds. If nothing changes, she waits again, because patience is often part of feline morning communication. Cats repeat soft signals before louder ones, especially when they trust their human will eventually notice. So she might sit, blink once, and let the room stay almost completely quiet around her. That slow blink is not random decoration. It is one of the gentlest social signals cats use. When it says the space feels safe enough for softness, even while she remains alert to your waking. When your eyes finally shift, her ears turn forward before the rest of her body moves. She has been waiting for that exact sign, the moment sleep becomes relationship again. Only then does the second phase of this first habit appear, the gentle wake-up ritual. Some cats nudge a cheek, some place a paw on the arm, and some begin a tiny measured purr. A British Shorthair often does it with restraint, using presence more than dramatic insistence. Her style is not frantic. It is composed, steady, and surprisingly polite, even when her need is real. She understands patterns, so she tries the version that usually works best in this home. If a soft purr once earned attention, she remembers and repeats it the next morning. While if stepping onto the duvet worked better, that too becomes part of her private method. This is not manipulation in a human sense. It is learned communication shaped by consequence. Cats keep behaviors that successfully reopen contact with the people they depend on every single day. So the bedside ritual becomes both emotional check-in and practical strategy for the morning ahead. She is saying, in cat language, "I found you again, and now the day can begin." Even her tail stays relatively still because the message is calm, not confrontational here today. By now, she has confirmed safety, renewed connection, and gently pulled you toward consciousness again. That is why the first morning habit feels tender instead of purely demanding to us. Beneath the charm, it reveals a cat who values predictable bonds as much as comfort. Your white British Shorthair is not only waking you, she is reopening the shared routine you both trust. Once that bond is reestablished, the second morning habit starts moving through her whole body. The second habit is the stretch and reset ritual that follows waking almost every healthy cat naturally. Before rushing anywhere, she lengthens her front legs and lowers her chest toward the floor. Then her back rises in a smooth arc, easing muscles that have rested for hours. Stretching after sleep helps cats restore circulation, flexibility, and coordination before real activity begins again. It also leaves visible scent when paws press fabric, rugs, or the scratching post nearby. That is why a morning stretch often blends almost seamlessly into scratching for cats at home. To humans, scratching can look destructive, and especially when it happens near furniture after sunrise daily. But the behavior is maintenance, not mischief, and mornings are one of its natural peaks. She needs to shed loose claw sheaths, wake the forelimbs, and mark familiar territory all at once. Her paws pull downward with calm force, and the sisal fibers answer with a dry rasp. That sound is not chaos to her. It is feedback that the surface works properly. Each scratch says this place is known, used, and still mine in the safest possible way. Because night separates activity into long, quiet hours, morning becomes a logical time to remark important zones. So after the bed, she heads toward the post near the window or hallway corner. She is not forgetting you. She is resetting her map of the home again today. Cats live partly through scent, and routine scratching refreshes invisible information humans rarely notice nearby. Her cheeks, paws, and body leave a familiar trace that turns space into reassurance daily. This matters even more for a calm indoor cat, whose world is relatively small, but deeply meaningful. A white British Shorthair often prefers steady habits over impulsive surprises, so repeated routes feel especially satisfying. That is why she may scratch the same post, at the same angle, in the same light. Consistency reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is something cats instinctively try to manage each morning indoors. After stretching and scratching, many cats pause for another quiet but important step. Drinking water first. The walk to the bowl is rarely random. It follows the same remembered path through the home. She moves with a compact and plush heaviness, yet every step lands softly on the pale floor. Her nose reaches the bowl before her tongue does, testing freshness through scent and temperature. Cats can be selective drinkers, so the first morning sip is often cautious rather than rushed. When the water feels right, her pink tongue flicks in small, fast curls against the surface. Hydration after sleep helps the body transition from rest into digestion, grooming, and activity smoothly. It also often happens before breakfast, even when humans notice the food request more dramatically. Then she turns toward the kitchen with a clearer purpose, now that her body feels fully awake. This is where people often think the whole morning routine was only about hunger somehow. Hunger is part of it, but not the entire story that brought her here today. She has already checked safety, renewed scent, stretched muscles, and balanced thirst before asking for food. So the second habit is really a full physical reset disguised as ordinary cat behavior. The third habit begins when basic needs are stable and the outside world starts pulling at her attention. She jumps to the window perch with practiced economy, landing in one quiet, balanced motion. Sunrise light touches the pure white coat first, turning her plush fur softly cream at the edges. From here, her morning becomes observation, the still and serious kind that looks simple from the outside. Birds flicker between branches, scooters hum far below, and moving shadows cross the courtyard walls. Even an indoor cat remains deeply tuned to motion, distance, and changing patterns beyond glass. Watching the outdoors is not wasted time. It is mental exercise linked to survival instincts. Her ears pivot independently, sorting layers of sound long before your own attention catches them. Her eyes lock, release, and lock again whenever a small shape enters motion outside the glass. This focused window patrol gives the hunting brain something to do without requiring a chase. It is stimulation, rehearsal, and environmental reading all at once, packed into a still indoor moment. For a British Shorthair, the style often stays still and measured rather than visibly explosive. She does not need frantic movement to be fully engaged, because attention itself can be the activity. Sometimes the tail tip twitches once, revealing the tension hiding beneath that plush statue pose. Sometimes she only leans forward a fraction, as though the entire body is listening hard. This quiet attention is one reason cats can seem emotionally distant when they are actually intensely occupied. They may not be ignoring you. They may be processing a rich stream of sensory information. And because morning brings fresh sounds, cooler air, and new movement, the window feels especially important. It updates her on the day before the apartment itself fully wakes around her today. After several minutes, observation often blends into grooming beneath the same patch of light. She licks a paw, wipes over one ear, and smooths the chest with patient precision. Grooming after watchfulness helps reset arousal and restore physical order after concentrated attention inside again. It is also one of the ways cats regulate stress and return themselves to balance. In the sunlight, every motion looks peaceful, but the function is surprisingly practical for her. Clean fur insulates better, carries scent properly, and keeps the body feeling predictably familiar daily. Familiarity matters because cats relax more easily inside sensations they recognize as their own again. That is why a morning grooming session can look almost ceremonial in a stable home. She's not posing for beauty. She is restoring internal order after checking the world. When she finishes, she often glances back towards you instead of staying lost at the glass. That look is small, but it matters because attention is returning from the world back to relationship. It asks whether your morning is finally aligned with hers and whether shared time can begin after safety, body reset, and window patrol. Social reconnection returns once more to the center. Seen together, these three habits form a quiet sequence. Reconnect, restore, then observe the world. They are simple on the surface, yet emotionally rich when you understand the needs underneath. Your white British Shorthair is not being dramatic each morning. She is following a beautifully organized inner rhythm. And when you notice that rhythm, her routines stop looking random and start feeling like conversation. Maybe that is the secret of cat mornings. Love appearing first as habit, then slowly revealing itself as trust.